it was like, oh, well, I expected that. And from that moment on, that dog and I sat side by side and talked. And one time we were sitting there, and he looked over there, and I said, what are you looking at? And he says, don't you see that coyote? And I said, no. And he says, right there. And he goes like this with his nose, there. I said, no, I don't see it. He says, that's right there, look. I said, I'm sorry, I'm not a dog. I don't have your eyesight. Well, can't you smell it? No, I don't have your smell ability and stuff. And lo and behold, it barked, coyote bark, and I knew that he was pointing at something that I could verify was over in that direction. Still didn't see it. And he says, look, now here comes 3 puppies three, no, might have been 5. So anyway, the female and 5 puppies. And they were all sitting there watching me. Never did see it. And then the male evidently took off, and all of a sudden the puppies started their little puppy. You heard him way off in the distance. The dog's telling me the male dog's left, the daddy's left. And way off in the distance you hear him yell and, letting the family know where he's at, and all of them, yip, 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 And I still never saw him. And then that got over, and he looked to the right, and I said, now what are you looking at? And he said, that deer. What deer? He said, don't you see the deer? Like that. And I said, no. And he says, right there in that grove of trees. Well, he didn't call it grove, line of trees. And it was a very close line of trees, very close. I didn't see no dang deer until the deer clicked his ear, and then I could see it. And, we sat down, we talked about sex and everything else. And his first 2 tries, and he was so anxious. He wasn't lucky. He didn't get lucky those first 2 times. But now he had some puppies, but they're gone. He had 5 puppies, and people took them away and all that. But I'm sitting there chatting with this animal, and along comes this big backhoe, rolling down this road, and the closer it got to me, I'm sitting there feeding him and petting him on the head and chatting with him. The closer it got to me, the slower it got, and the slower it got. And finally it stopped right in front of me, one of the construction workers, or diggers, ditch digger guys. And he cracked his side window door open, and he looked down at me and the dog, as it was getting close, that dog's fur was going up, and I said, oh, calm down, it's okay. And he said, Red Elk? And I said, yeah. And he says, only you could have done that. And he wasn't going to open that door very far at all. But these things are possible. You become a chameleon. Believe strongly what you want to believe, be it invisible, be it flying, be it moving a mountain, be it walking on water. Today, the word believe has a connotation of doubt. In the day it was written in the good word, it had no connotation of doubt. In the Bible, occasionally you come across 2 words, one right after the other, faith, believing. And really, it should be one word, faith believing. Believing faith. It should be the same word in that sense. And actually, the word should be knowing. Just accept it until you know it is. All right? And it is. Now, I don't think I told it on this tape, but I was with a Dracelian half-breed and a blue half-breed. Now, the blues are from another planet, so 2 are the Dracelian race. Lizard people, if you want. Now, this sounds far out. They are very real, all of these people. And they're excellent. The Dracelian race are very excellent at controlling people through fear. Matter of fact, our governments, the major governments of the world, are in cahoots with the Dracolian race. There's 2 planets of them, but there's 2 queens, and they were one of the 2 so-called gods that came to Earth and took 1/3 of our Sasquatch, the true people that God made to evolve into what we are now. And the Dracolian race, their area of their planets are hot desert. 3 suns, if I remember right. Very hot, so they live underground. And they're not used to weather, but they're used to, so they dug underground. Up there, that's pretty darn hot. But here, the sun would blind them. The single sun would blind them in just a few minutes. And they got the wind chill factor. It just, they start shaking, they get cold. I don't care how nice it is out to you and me. That's cold. But anyway, that's another story. I won't even get involved with that. But nevertheless, I had her, which is half planet Earth human. They interbreed. And half Dracolian. And she decided she was going to fear me, make me afraid, to control me through fear. We're sitting in a 16-foot teepee on my place, and her husband, a blue, looks a big man, and they're protectors. They're like hiring a bodyguard, but they marry to the one that they're to protect. Big guy, great big. I'm not talking fat big, but huge, man, tall. And nice guy. They're a nice race of people, really. And they kind of hire themselves out as mercenaries in a sense. You need protection to hire our planet people. And we're a really nice guy. I really liked them both. But so slowly to fear me. They're both side by side on the other side that night in this 16-foot teepee with a campfire in the middle going. And she started changing. This was a very attractive woman, heaviside like most Dracolian women are, and they're A-layers, by the way, the Dracolian ladies. And so she's got big hips and all, but very beautiful girl. Oh, wow, very beautiful. But this beautiful whitish skin, whiter than a white man's skin, cameo skin with these lovely green Irish eyes, started changing into the scales and the big yellow goat eyes with that slit. And her face started wedging. So all that beauty was going into this damn lizard. And behind her, out of her dress, came her tail. And it was a short little tail, I doubt if it was close to 5 foot long. 4 foot, maybe 4.5 foot long. But she was going to show this medicine man that, look what I can do, and sharp teeth, and I've seen them before, no big deal. And I'm looking at her, and her husband knows what she's going to do, and he's looking at her and looking at me to see my reaction. Well, I was smoking, so I just put my cigarette in the fire and shut my eyes, and I became undressed. We are nothing, hear me, you think that you're dressing you? Do you know what we really are? A neuron of thought. God's thought. We are his dream, his daydream. Medicine people know that. We age, we grow bigger, and there's a reason for that. But we don't need to. Absolutely do not need to. All we are is kind of like an atom floating around in God's big brain. He thinks us into being, and we dress ourselves. We see little brother, and someday when I get big, I'll be like him. So you start the growing process. We see Dad, when I get bigger, I'll get like him. So we continue. We see Grandpa, when I get older, oh my God, I'm going to get old. But you have caught up in that flywheel, and you get old. I've regressed my age until they thought I was 17 or 18. People that knew me well. But the ones that didn't know me at all couldn't believe that all this knowledge was coming from a kid. And it just shocked the daylights out of the 3 that knew me very well. They knew it was me, but I said, I told you it can be done. Yeah, boy. So because of the shock to those three and the fact the others couldn't believe it, I had to redress to be the old man that everybody expects has got that kind of knowledge. And I did that in a matter of about 2 days. Took me several days to get to look that young. But anyway, she's changed to this, wedged lizard face and a big jaws, big sharp teeth. And that tail slightly wiggling. And so I shut my eyes and I undressed. I went down to what I know I am, a neuron of thought. I know it, so I don't have any trouble doing this. And then I redressed the way I wanted to look. By the time I was done, the top of my head was bent over at the apex of that 16-foot teepee. I was 16 foot high. The head was pressed up where the teepee poles were tied. I was looking down on her and Mr. Blue. My tail was so long, it went way around the 16-foot teepee to the other side and halfway up her thigh area. And all I had to do was flick it, and she would have busted my poles and ripped herself out of the teepee. And I was looking down at her, and my teeth were far bigger, and I had greater scales. And as I was growing, she was going like that, and her husband was going. I was Tyrannosaurus Rex. And it, boy, oh boy, both of them, their eyes just, whoa, and bam, she went back to being the way she was before she started slipping into trying to fear me. Hell, she knew damn well I could outbite her. I could flick my tail and make her feel like she was a fly. And it just scared the hell out of her. And I don't blame her. But, my job is not to scare people to death. But if they want to play games, hey, I can play games. I wouldn't have bit her or anything, but make her think that. But and then down I went. And real quick, just almost instantly, and redressed, partially redressed to me. And I got a cigarette out, and I put it in my finger, and I lit it, and I'm sitting there smoking across the fireplace, and their eyes just got enormous again. All they could see was my wrist and right hand, my cigarette, and my neck and my head. And I'm just sitting there smoking. And that took, I never had problems with that girl again. Matter of fact, I led both her and her husband to the Lord. And we work together now. That's the second Dracolian half-breed that I have brought to the Lord, or had the privilege of sharing, and God brought him to himself, really. Right now on my property, I have a pickup sitting there that belongs to a half-breed. And he comes and visits, him and his wife. She's not, but he is. And he knows it. And you ought to see the pictures of his mother, a half-breed, with his father, now both deceased, with the president, 2 presidents of the United States, Kissinger, good friends. These people deal. Kissinger is a Dracolian half-breed. The Bush family are not, but they work with them. They are not. And the old Bush brought his son into this. I know so much that thank God people don't believe me, because if the government, as often as I tell these things, if the government really thought people would believe me, I'd be dead. I'm dead serious.
What's happening with our government? Our country is going right down the tubes. What kind of crazy people are up there running this show? They're puppets. They're crazy.
Well, they're not puppets. They're in agreement. So that when the crap hits the fan, they can still exist. Screw you. Yeah.
Yeah, the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds.
Mm-hmm.
All are in charge.
Yeah. Yep. But anyway, so that's how you become invisible. Think about it. And literally, you have to put the people out of your mind as well, even though you're aware they're there.